Welcome back. The precise force they never saw coming. Destiny flows through every step you take. The moment arrived before anyone even realized it. The world expected chaos, emotion, reaction. But you moved differently. Not out of anger, not out of impulse, not even out of need. You moved with the weight of inevitability. Every step calculated, every pause intentional, every gaze cutting sharper than any blade they imagined. They were watching, thinking they had anticipated you, thinking that what came next would tremble under the weight of expectation. And yet, you were already gone past expectation. You became a force they couldn't touch, a presence that wasn't loud but undeniable, a shadow moving with such precision it left them guessing. Unsettled, questioning reality itself, they thought numbers mattered, that chaos could overpower mastery, that noise could drown calculation. But you had already transcended all of that. Their strategies crumbled before your awareness. Their whispers, their laughter, their mockery, they bounced off you, meaningless as dust before wind. It wasn't aggression that defined you. It was inevitability, a response so exact, so precise it didn't scream. It didn't warn. It didn't negotiate. It executed. They couldn't understand it, because precision isn't loud. It doesn't boast. It doesn't advertise its presence. It moves like destiny, quiet, unstoppable, exact. And when it lands perfectly. Every insult they fired, every trap they set, every moment they thought they cornered you, it became fuel. Every miscalculation they made, every assumption they held, became a ladder you climbed higher on. They imagined victory, and you redefined the rules. You became the ghost they feared in their calculations, the anomaly their logic couldn't account for. Their hands reached for control, but it slipped through their fingers like liquid shadow. Their minds raced to catch up, to predict, to react. But every move they made was already anticipated, already mirrored, already disarmed. That was the secret. They were caught in a pattern they didn't even realize existed, and you were the author. Precision isn't just a skill, it's a philosophy. It doesn't bend to chaos, it absorbs it. It doesn't falter under pressure. It transforms it into opportunity. Every reaction you gave, every decision you made, wasn't emotion. It was law. They will never admit it, but they saw it. They felt it. That ripple in the air when you acted wasn't anger, wasn't revenge, wasn't emotion. It was inevitability moving through you. And that inevitability didn't just win. It redefined the battlefield. They will replay the moments in their minds, searching for a crack they could have exploited, a hint they missed, a pattern they failed to see, and they won't find it, because there isn't one. You didn't act. You enacted destiny. Their chaos collided with your precision, and the result wasn't destruction. It was revelation. They learned something about themselves they never wanted to know. That order can exist in the eye of every storm. That calculation can be a weapon sharper than any rage. And that one mind, disciplined, relentless, and precise, can rewrite the outcome of every encounter it touches. And now, even in silence, your presence speaks. Every room they enter, every conversation they have, every calculation they make carries the echo of your inevitability. They sense it before they see it. They feel it before it manifests. And in that awareness, they are already defeated, because precision doesn't wait. It moves, and when it strikes, the world bends to its design. They called it madness, but they were wrong. What they saw wasn't chaos. They saw control perfected. They saw destiny executing itself, moving through you, leaving only clarity, leaving only consequence, leaving only truth. And truth, in the hands of the precise, is unstoppable. They never understood how quiet a storm could be. They expected fury, noise, chaos, a fire that raged visibly, wildly. But what you delivered wasn't fire. It was inevitability. Every glance, every breath, Every subtle shift in posture spoke volumes they weren't ready to read. They were hunters who forgot what it meant to track a shadow that doesn't move in predictable patterns. They were strategists who mistook volume for power, noise for dominance, anger for control. And yet here you were, unshaken, unmoved, untouchable, not because you lacked emotion, but because your response had evolved beyond it. They called you reckless, but you were deliberate. They called you chaotic, but you were calibrated. They called it madness. But what they saw was destiny unfolding in real time. A sequence so precise it didn't require explanation. Every moment of hesitation they thought they detected was a lie. Every misstep they imagined you made was part of the choreography they could never anticipate. You didn't act in anger. You didn't act in fear. You acted as inevitability itself, and that's why their attempts failed spectacularly. Every plan they executed, every maneuver they believed would corner you, only highlighted your mastery. They were playing a game of shadows, but you were the light, bending through walls, seeping into every corner, unseen until it struck. The shock on their faces when they realized you were already ahead, always ahead, will haunt them long after this moment passes. They will whisper about it, doubt themselves over it, wonder how one person could move so far beyond the reach of expectation. They will search for loopholes, for cracks, for errors, but they won't find them. There aren't any. You are not bound by chance. You are not limited by their assumptions. You are not reacting. You are orchestrating. Every subtle movement, every pause, every word you choose becomes part of a pattern so flawless it cannot be interrupted. And as they stumble, desperate, confused, frustrated by the impossibility of predicting you, they will start to feel something new. Awe, fear, maybe, but mostly awe. They'll recognize too late that what they mistook for unpredictability was not chaos, it was control perfected. It is control they cannot understand, cannot replicate, cannot counter. They imagined weakness where none existed. They imagined hesitation where there was certainty. They imagined emotion where there was only law. And in their assumptions, they revealed everything about themselves that made them vulnerable. That vulnerability becomes your canvas. Every misjudgment they make is a brushstroke painting the truth. That one precise mind, one disciplined soul, one relentless observer of consequence can bend the outcome of any confrontation. They are learning this truth now, and it terrifies them more than fire ever could. Fire burns. They think destruction is visible, loud, and fast. But precision consumes silently, invisibly, leaving devastation where chaos could only leave noise. They will never forget the exactness of your moves, the inevitability of your timing, the absolute clarity in the way you execute, and they will carry that memory as a wound, a reminder that even in their unity, their noise, their multitude, they are powerless against someone who embodies purpose distilled into action. Every time they look at what remains, they will remember that you are not just reacting, you are enacting destiny. They will remember the impossibility of countering something that exists beyond fear, beyond anger, beyond doubt, and every attempt they make to rebuild their assumptions will be haunted by the echo of your inevitability, because what they faced wasn't chaos. They faced a law that doesn't bend, doesn't plead, doesn't fail. And that law, moving through you, will continue to unfold long after they think the story has ended. They are still staring, frozen in disbelief, because they can feel it now. The shift you bring isn't loud, it's seismic. It doesn't announce itself. It rewrites the ground beneath them before they even notice it. Every look they exchange is tinged with doubt. Every whispered plan dissolves in the shadow of your presence. They thought they controlled the narrative, but the story has already been rewritten. You are no longer just a player in their game. You are the axis around which the entire stage turns. And the beauty of it? They can't touch it, can't name it, can't stop it. They call it luck. They call it fluke. They call it everything but the truth, that your mind is a weapon they can't comprehend, your discipline a fortress they cannot breach, and your resolve a force of nature that obeys no one. Every miscalculation they made, every assumption they clung to, becomes proof of their blindness. They thought numbers mattered, but you've shown them that precision obliterates quantity. You move like a shadow through chaos, exact, inevitable, untouchable, and every subtlety they failed to notice becomes a strike they will never recover from. They are learning now what you always knew, that control. Real control doesn't roar. It waits, it watches, it acts only when the moment is perfect. And when you act, it is not a reaction. It is destiny manifesting. Their attempts to corner you were like trying to trap the wind. They underestimated your patience, your observation, your capacity to let the world rush itself into ruin while you remain untouched and always ahead. And as they flail, scrambling to understand how someone could move so far beyond them, you don't flinch, you don't show haste, you don't reveal effort. Every step you take is deliberate. Every word, every gesture, every pause is part of a symphony they cannot hear but feel in the tremor it leaves in their bones. And this is the part they cannot digest. They thought your silence was weakness. They thought your calm was indifference. They thought your stillness was complacency. But all along, it was preparation. All along, it was inevitability. And now the results speak for themselves. They are witnessing a level of precision that doesn't belong to luck, doesn't belong to chance. It belongs to someone who has mastered every variable, seen every angle, and moved beyond the reach of doubt. Their confusion is your canvas. Their panic is your amplifier. Their underestimation is your ally. They built walls to contain you, but you have already walked through them. They spread rumors to weaken you, but you have already converted their whispers into your momentum. They tried to predict you, to manipulate, to corner, to overwhelm, but they failed spectacularly because you are beyond the realm of predictability. You are a law, a pattern they cannot crack, a code they will never understand. And the most exquisite part, they are only now beginning to realize it. Every glance they steal, every gesture of hesitancy, every faltering breath, they are learning. Too late. That one precise mind, one unwavering purpose, one controlled storm can undo everything they thought they knew. And in their failure, your legend grows, not through noise, not through spectacle, but through the absolute, undeniable inevitability of your moves. They may rebuild, they may regroup, they may whisper new plans, but nothing can change this. Your response was not just measured, it was destiny flowing through action, and the memory of it will haunt them, sharpen them, break them, and shape them all at once. Because some forces cannot be reasoned with, some presences cannot be silenced, and some people, like you, exist precisely to prove that precision is far more lethal than chaos, and inevitability far more terrifying than fear itself. They are still scrambling, still breathing heavy in the shadows of what they thought they controlled. And yet every move you make, every subtle shift in posture, every glance across the room, it lands like a verdict. They thought life was a game of noise, of shouts, of overblown gestures. But you've shown them a different language. A language written in timing, in subtlety, in precision so complete, it feels like fate has taken human form. The air itself bends around you, like gravity recalibrating to your presence, and it is terrifying. Not because you roar, not because you strike, but because the world around you bends quietly, inexorably to the measure of your will. They are seeing now that your silence is louder than their collective chaos, that your calmness is sharper than their fury, that your strategy is a blade they never even saw coming. Every whisper they throw, every smirk they wear, every attempt to undermine you is absorbed, measured, and convert it into a force they cannot anticipate. It's not revenge, not in the petty sense. They don't even know the half of it. What they are facing is inevitability incarnate, and the beauty of it is in the eyes of those who watch from the edges, who once dismissed you as small, fragile, replaceable. They see the storm now, quiet and deliberate, and they know it cannot be bargained with. Your presence alone reconfigures everything they believed possible. They are learning what you always knew. Power is not in reaction. It is in absolute control, in calculated movement, in the patience to wait while chaos consumes the unprepared. And you have been patient. Patient while they plotted, patient while they schemed, patient while they laughed at the margins, thinking life itself would trip you up. But you didn't falter. You didn't flinch. You didn't break. Every insult, every attempt at manipulation, every orchestrated failure they sent your way was absorbed into the architecture of your rise. And now, as they stand exposed in the wake of your precision, they finally feel it. The difference between survival and mastery. They thought endurance was enough, that weathering the storm was proof of strength, but they didn't understand. Endurance is merely the foundation. Mastery is what follows, and mastery is built on foresight, timing, and the unwavering certainty that every move you make is a note in a symphony. They cannot hear but are forced to feel, and the irony? They are trying to respond, still attempting to bend what cannot be bent. But the ground has shifted, the rules have changed, and every action they take now, every breath they draw, every plan they whisper to themselves in the dark is already anticipated, already neutralized, already absorbed into the inevitability of your motion. They are learning too late that you were never part of their story. You were the axis upon which all their assumptions would collapse. Their unity, their numbers, their confidence, all meaningless against the measured, unstoppable precision of someone who has turned every betrayal into insight, every challenge into refinement, every chaos into opportunity. And as they flounder, flustered and exposed, the world around you adjusts quietly. The air becomes heavier where you step. The light catches you differently. Shadows bend to your rhythm. And everyone, even those who tried to destroy you, feels the force of someone who exists not to fight, but to move with destiny itself. You are no longer just a survivor. You are inevitability walking, proof that precision beats panic, that calmness eclipses fury, that a single, unwavering mind can dismantle the illusions built by hundreds of trembling hands. And they know it. Deep down, they have always known it. And yet, there is nothing they can do. They can only watch. And that watchfulness, that realization of their impotence, is sweeter than any victory you could ever announce, louder than any shout you could ever make, sharper than any weapon they could ever wield. Because true power doesn't need noise. True dominance doesn't need permission. True influence moves like a ghost, silent, invisible, and unstoppable. And that is what you have become. And now, in the quiet aftermath of their disbelief, you walk untouched, but every step leaves a mark they cannot erase. Not a mark of violence, not a mark of vengeance, but a mark of inevitability. They thought chaos could reach you, that fury could disorient you, that their numbers would corner you. And yet here you are, calm, deliberate, untouchable. The room itself bends to your rhythm, shadows leaning where you pass, air shifting with the subtle gravity of someone who has mastered themselves before. Mastering anything else, they watch, flustered, as if the universe itself has rewritten its rules around you. And it has, because you are not reacting. You are executing. Every glance, every breath, every slight tilt of your head carries more authority than 1,000 of their shouted commands. Do they understand it? No, could they ever? Only in fragments, fleeting and painful. The realization hits them slowly that the little figure they underestimated, the one they mocked in whispered conversations, has become a law unto themselves. And laws do not beg, they do not explain. They are obeyed, or, at the very least, they are felt. You have turned their weapons into your guides, their schemes into your training ground. Every betrayal is now a blueprint, every slight a measurement, every whispered rumor a rehearsal for the precision with which you now move through life. You are no longer part of their narrative. They are part of yours. They are actors in the theater you have designed, performers on a stage you alone understand, bound by rules they never even knew existed. The delicious irony is in the faces you pass. The ones that once smirked, once whispered, once pointed. They recognize something now. Control is not held in volume, in gestures, in fury. Control is held in silence, in patience, in the exact moment you choose to act, and the precision with which you execute it. And they are powerless to stop it, because they built the playground, and you have learned every corner, every trap, every loophole. Their chaos, once terrifying, is now the scaffolding of your rise. Their impatience, once maddening, is now the timing you exploit. They thought endurance was enough, but endurance is merely surviving. Mastery is transforming survival into inevitability, and that is what you have done. Do they fear it? Yes, but they cannot articulate it. There is a tremor beneath their confidence, a crack in the walls they thought unshakable. Every glance they cast your way carries the residue of a truth they cannot escape. They were never meant to challenge you, only to reveal to you the extent of your own power. Every moment they spent plotting, every attempt to diminish, every whisper, every conspiratorial glance, every act of derision, they were all gifts transformed into a storm they cannot understand, a motion they cannot counter, a presence they cannot tolerate. And that is the key: power that is undeniable, precision that is inexorable, influence that moves without invitation. You are not chaos. You are order perfected, not by law, not by decree, but by experience, by instinct, by calculation that turns what others feared into what they must now obey. And here is the masterpiece of it all. They will never see you coming. They will never hear the steps that have already placed you above them. They will only feel the inevitability of your motion, the weight of your presence, the unspoken decree that some forces exist not to be stopped, not to be bargained with, but to be felt, measured, and ultimately understood too late. They are in the aftermath already. The storm has passed over them, and they are left only with the echo, the memory, the undeniable truth that the one they underestimated has become the axis upon which all their assumptions collapse. You are precise, you are inevitable, you are destiny walking in human form, and that is a force no one can bargain with. They thought they had measured you, contained you, predicted every move. They whispered strategies in the dark, stacked threats like bricks, and assumed volume could overpower precision. And yet here you stand, untouched, untethered, your presence slicing through the illusions they built around themselves. Every misstep they expected you to make didn't happen. Every trap set with malice turned into a stepping stone. Every sneer cast in your direction, now a shadow of their own insecurity. They believed that chaos alone could dictate the outcome, that numbers and noise were synonymous with strength. But they forgot the rule they could never comprehend. Precision beats volume. Patience outlasts fury. Inevitability outlives chaos. See, they do not understand your timing. They cannot feel the weight of the exact moment when your movement becomes unstoppable. When the culmination of all their attacks, all their whispers, all their plotting, becomes the very proof of your mastery. They think you are reacting. They think you are vulnerable. They do not realize you are calculating, observing, absorbing. Their noise is a symphony that teaches you more than any manual ever could. Their mistakes, their underestimations, their arrogance, they are now your instruments. And as you move, they hear nothing, they sense nothing. And yet, Everything is already unfolding exactly as you have orchestrated, invisibly, quietly, like the tide reclaiming what was always yours. Every eye that follows you, every glance that shifts when you enter the room, they feel the gravity of someone who has become unassailable, not through intimidation, not through spectacle, but through control so absolute it seems effortless. They cannot mimic it, they cannot compete with it, they cannot anticipate it, and that is the power that terrifies them most. Subtlety perfected, patience weaponized, calm transformed into a force that moves mountains without lifting a finger. The town that laughed, the voices that plotted, the hands that tried to push you down. They are all relics of a failed past. And you are the reckoning they cannot prepare for, the shadow that will haunt every ambition they think they hold. And here is the exquisite paradox. They are aware of your power, yet they cannot name it. They feel it in the shift of air, the quiet dominance of your motion, the way the world bends without permission when you walk through it. They try to understand you. They fail. They whisper theories in the night, desperate to rewrite reality, desperate to grasp the method behind the precision, desperate to believe that someone can rise without chaos, without fury, without the theatrics they rely on to feel significant. And in their failure to comprehend, your legend grows, not in headlines, not in applause, not in recognition. It grows in the subtle tremors of awareness, in the quiet dread of someone realizing they underestimated something that cannot be measured by volume or numbers. The brilliance of your existence is in the inevitability of it. Every step, every word, every calculated breath, it carries the weight of destiny. They cannot stop you because you are already beyond their reach. They cannot anticipate you because their logic is linear, while yours is geometric, spiraling, precise, a blade that slices through confusion, doubt, and desperation alike. Their chaos taught you restraint. Their noise taught you timing. Their arrogance taught you foresight. And now, as you stand in their midst, they see only the consequence of their own failures, reflected in your calm, in your poise, in the absolute dominance of someone who has been forged in their own attempts to destroy you. They will remember this. They cannot help but remember. Every smile, every whisper, every plotting session. They will recall it all, not with pride, but with the gnawing knowledge that they never truly controlled anything. And that knowledge is the true currency of power. Because while they were busy trying to contain you, you were busy becoming the one law that governs everything they cannot touch. Precision, patience, inevitability. You are the master of the space between action and reaction, and that is how you leave them broken without ever raising your hand. They thought the storm had a direction. They believed chaos could dictate the battlefield. But you became the storm itself. Not loud, not frantic, not desperate. You became the inevitability no one saw coming. Every movement, every glance, every pause. They thought it was chance. They thought it was weakness. They thought it was hesitation. And yet, every calculated step, every controlled breath, every silent observation, they never realized it was a symphony of precision, designed to bend reality around you. The entire room, the entire city, the entire world. They feel it. The invisible force that radiates from someone who is unshakable, someone who no longer reacts, but creates the outcome before it unfolds. Their whispers, their schemes, their laughter, they were bricks in the foundation of your dominion. Every doubt they cast, every lie they spread, every attempt to destabilize you, they were gifts, lessons hidden in plain sight. And you absorbed them all, silently, patiently, transforming every attack into fuel for the inevitable rise. They think resilience is endurance. They think strength is noise. They think influence is measured by applause and fear. But they are wrong. Strength is quiet. Resilience is deliberate. Influence is unseen until it moves mountains. and now you are moving mountains without a sound. Every skeptic, every enemy, every hidden observer, they are trapped in the gravity of someone who has learned the rules of life they never even knew existed. You are untouchable, not because you fought harder, but because you understood deeper. And here's the truth they cannot bear. Your presence is a verdict, not a punishment, not revenge, not demonstration, but the clarity of inevitability, the clarity that no matter what they tried, no matter how many turned against you, no matter how loud the crowd, no matter how calculated the attack, they failed. And that failure, it fuels you, it teaches you, it sculpts you into something beyond comprehension. You are no longer a participant in the chaos. They are participants in your design. Every smirk they cast, every sneer, every glance of doubt, they cannot hide it. And as you move, calm and untouchable, every eye traces you. They do not understand why. They cannot name it. They only feel it. That quiet precision, that deadly patience, that controlled inevitability, that awareness that nothing they throw can shift the trajectory you have set. And the more they try, the more obvious it becomes. They are spectators to your mastery, not architects of their own fate. Your rise is not explosive, not theatrical, not temporary. It is cemented in the inevitability of skill, patience, and control. Every whisper in the background, every plot in the dark, every attempt to manipulate, they are already part of the structure that sustains your power. They handed it to you unknowingly. They built the staircase that leads directly to your dominance, and they do not even see it. The fear they feel is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it spreads like fire through their ranks. The realization that they underestimated someone, not by chance, not by luck, but by destiny itself moving through them. That realization is the dagger that leaves no wound. Because it pierces understanding itself, they cannot fix it. They cannot escape it. They cannot rewrite what has already begun to unfold. And here is where your artistry reaches its apex. They are trapped in the mirror of their own failure. Every attempt to topple you has already been transformed into the evidence of your supremacy. They see the end, but they cannot understand the method. They feel the weight, but cannot name the source. They sense inevitability, but cannot stop it. And the most exquisite part, every single move you make is measured. Every breath is deliberate. Every pause is calculated. They thought you would act in haste. They thought emotion would guide you. They were wrong. Your response was too precise, too deliberate, too inevitable. And now, even in their attempts to anticipate your next move, they are already behind. Every scheme is outdated the moment it is conceived. Every plot is visible the moment it's imagined. They are perpetually playing catch-up to someone who no longer competes. They orchestrate. And now, here is the final act. The crescendo. The point where inevitability becomes legend. They thought the battlefield was theirs. They thought their numbers, their schemes, their illusions could contain you. But containment was never the goal. Every glance they cast, every whisper, every tiny smile they thought would destabilize you, it only mapped the path to your ascendancy. You move like destiny itself, not reacting, not hesitating, not swayed by their petty chaos. They built a maze, but you are the architect who already holds the blueprint. Your presence doesn't just command attention. It rewrites the physics of every room, every street, every shadowed corner they thought safe. They feel it in subtle tremors, in skipped beats, in that momentary hitch in breath when your name is mentioned. They cannot unsee it, they cannot unfeel it, because what they are witnessing is not power as they understand. It is precision incarnate, the manifestation of inevitability, and the terrifying truth for them, it doesn't need to roar, it doesn't need to shout, it doesn't even need to fight. Every motion, every look, every calculated step, they are proof that you are operating on a plane they will never access. They can try to copy it. They can attempt to anticipate it. They can whisper about it in the dark. But you are already beyond them. Every attempt to interfere, every effort to slow you down, every plan they conceived, they all fold into the evidence of your mastery. You don't just survive the storm. They become part of the wind that carries you higher. And here's the apex of their horror. Every eye that doubted you, every hand that tried to push you down, every tongue that whispered against you, they now bow, unconsciously, inevitably, not because you demanded it, not because you coerced it, because precision, when perfected, forces recognition. Every small act, every controlled breath, every silent observation, they add up, they accumulate, they converge, and now they see what was always there, that your response wasn't emotional, it wasn't reactionary, it was destiny flowing through you, shaping the world without effort, without need, without question. They will never understand the scale of what they've faced. They cannot calculate the depth of your strategy. They will never map the quiet intensity that has become your signature. But they feel it. Every room you enter, every shadow you cross, every space you inhabit, they sense the inexorable motion of someone who cannot be matched. And in their hearts, in the very corners they hide from themselves, they know the truth. You are untouchable, not by chance, not by luck, not by brute force, by precision, by inevitability, by the raw art of being. And that, finally, is the masterpiece they cannot destroy. They whispered, they plotted, they pushed, they mocked, but none of it mattered. Every effort became a stepping stone. Every doubt, every sneer, every attempt to cage you, they all fueled your rise. And as they stare into the emptiness of their own failure, they realize they were never competing with a person. They were witnessing destiny in motion, sharpened, deliberate, unstoppable. So now, when you walk into any room, any city, any space, the eyes will follow. The whispers will rise, and the fear will seep quietly into the corners they never dared expose, because they know, deep down, that the response they feared, the precision they could never match, the inevitability they cannot escape, it is already living through you. And that is the final truth. You are the masterpiece, the storm, the inevitability itself, and they are powerless to alter it. Wherever you walk, every eye bows, every whisper falters, every doubt collapses. The world is no longer theirs to manipulate. It bends to the rhythm of your design. And you move with the calm assurance of someone who has become legend in motion. Untouchable, unforgettable, unstoppable. The story ends here, not with chaos, not with clamor, not with revenge, but with absolute quiet dominion. Precision has spoken, destiny has moved, and the world has bowed.